Tonight, the Trump administration is announcing the Black Voices for Trump coalition. It's a nationwide effort to mobilize black voters ahead of 2020. In 2016, Trump won just 8% of the black vote, but the Trump administration thinks there will be more support this time around. CBN News chief political analyst David Brody has the story of one young man who paid a price for voicing his support.
I'm looking at it from the outside, but then also having the opportunity to go inside now.
When I met 24-year-old Devin Smart outside the White House, one thing became perfectly clear.
I believe that President Donald Trump is going to win 2020 by a landslide.
It wasn't always this way, hardly. He grew up in a family of diehard Democrats and attended an historically black university in Hampton, Virginia. While at college, Devin started researching Trump for himself, and a specific line resonated with him.
What the hell do you have to lose?
I was just looking at his different policies, the things that he said that he was going to do. I said, okay, I'm starting to like this guy, but I was scared to say it out loud because I knew I was going to get judged.
While he didn't vote in 2016, soon after Trump became president, Devin outed himself on Twitter as a full-fledged Trump supporter, complete with the Make America Great Again hat.
The Democratic Party has been manipulating the black community for over 50 years, and I was simply tired of it.
The insults came quickly.
I've been called a coon, a bootlicker, Uncle Tom, all of these derogatory terms simply because I support the president.
And then came more fallout. Twice he's been asked to preach at a spiritual revival conference in Virginia, and twice he's been disinvited.
The pastor called me and said, unless you go on your Twitter and say that you do not support the president, I can't invite you here. I said, well, tell me where in the Bible does it say that I cannot preach at your church because I support the president? And he said, well, there's a lot of people at my church who doesn't support the president, and when I seen that, they would be very upset with me if you come, so I have to take away your invitation. My job, when I'm standing behind that sacred desk, is to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. And for you to tell me I can't come and preach at, not your church, but the Lord's church, because I support the president, now are you living by the principles of the Bible? That was my question.
Although the pastor hung up the phone, Devin still remains dialed in for Trump. He says he's not been disappointed. An historically low unemployment rate for African Americans, a groundbreaking prison reform law, and allocating a record amount of federal money to historically black colleges. And those achievements, by the way, may be just paying political dividends. In 2016, Trump won 8% of the black vote, but a new poll now shows him with almost double that, 15%.
That is the loudest I've ever heard anything in this room.
Devin came to the White House in October as part of the Black Leadership Summit. As a Christian, he experienced something pretty cool. It started when talking to a friend before the event.
She said, I would love to pray at the White House. So at the end, me and her both said, hey, President Trump, can we pray? And he pointed at me and he said, come up and pray. But she had just told me that she had a dream about praying at the White House. I looked at her, I said, go ahead.
And so she did.
God protect us, God protect our president as he's going through so much right now.
Devin went through a lot as well for publicly supporting the president. He tells me many more like him are still out there, but they operate in stealth mode.
Blacks for Trump, I like those sides.
I had over 100 messages on my Twitter of people saying, Devin, I support the president, but I'm not as strong as you to come out and say it in public. I have a lot of people who support President Donald Trump, but they won't say it. It's secret. And they're going to vote for him in 2020. I'm telling you they are.
The Trump campaign is sure hoping Devin Smart is brilliant in his prediction. David Brody, CBN News, Washington.
CBN News chief political analyst David Brody joining us now. And just watching your story, you know, this is not the first time that African Americans have become somewhat disenfranchised with the Democratic Party.
No, it's been going on for a while here. What's interesting is that the Trump campaign believes that, look, elections are won on the margins, and they believe that they know what happened in 2016. There were a few million black voters who stayed home that were Obama voters. Look, if they can get, if not folks to vote for Trump, for African-American voters to stay home, they're fine with that either way. But they want to make the case that his record is something to behold here. And, you know, I guess truth is in the eye of the beholder.
Clarence, what do you think? Do you think Devin is onto something here in terms of black support for President Trump?
Well, I wish him well. My personal theory is, having been black all my life, including several very interesting decades, I think the black Republican vote in general is kind of like the Trump base. It always stays the same. It doesn't get any much bigger, doesn't get much smaller. It's just rock hard. And what we saw with Barack Obama was, you saw a lot of people who hadn't voted before who came out and voted because Barack Obama was on the ballot, and then they didn't vote when it was Trump versus Hillary, because the numbers went back to about where they were before, back when you had George W. Bush. So I mean, that's just my outlook. I really said I was going to give up predicting after 2016, but I still can't help it. So we'll see if I'm any closer to right this time.
Well, I too have been black for several decades, I got to tell you. But what do you think of the fact that President Trump has several sort of high-profile African-American supporters, like Kanye West? Oh, yeah. Is this going to move the dial?
Well, you know, people forget there are black conservatives out there. And I'd remind people of that when Clarence Thomas was first nominated for the Supreme Court. And I said, so, you know, I had an uncle just like Clarence Thomas's uncle and his grandfather, you know, old-time religion, old-style morality, old-style politics. And you got a lot of conservative black folks out there who still want to vote Republican, but the party has been fits and starts. You know, I appreciated it in 2012 when they came out with their autopsy and said we really need to do more outreach for blacks and Hispanics. And then Donald Trump came along, and that just kind of got lost by the wayside. So we'll see how well he does this time.
David, you've known the president for many, many years. A lot of people call him racist. What's your impression?
Well, he's the old school uncle who says anything and everything, and that seems
especially at Thanksgiving, right?
That's exactly right. Wait till those conversations happen. So anyhow, you know, there are going to be some people that say that, you know, he is. There'll be others that say he won't. I've known him for a while. I can tell you that he doesn't want to show the soft side of his personality in public. He likes to show that in private. He's the exact opposite of what politicians typically do.
David and Clarence, we have to leave it there, but thank you guys. Great conversation.